Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. It has been a long time.
What a game. What a bloody game.
Lovely game.
I don't know what to say about that.
It's no Mad Max Fury Road, is it?
Oh, it is worse than Mad Max.
But like everything's worse than I'm talking Fury Road, not Mad Max the game.
Oh, I thought you were talking about that.
Oh well,
everything's
better than Mad Max the game, but nothing's better than Fury Road. I think we can agree on that off the bat.
Yeah, that's a great. That entire chase scene was fantastic.
Yeah, and that's all it is.
I mean, the movie.
Right. But it's been a long time since Tony Hawk. I mean, I think we had Grind and Ride come out in the early 2010s. But that's been
Shred,
yeah.
They had the HD remaster a couple years ago.
Even that was over 2 years ago, right? And that was just a remaster.
Yeah, that wasn't that. It was all right.
Yeah.
It had its moments, but
it's a long dormant series, though.
Yeah, it's been out for since '99.
Yeah,
so that's 16 years now. It was such a huge part of my childhood.
Oh yeah,
where I was like in junior high school, prime times for Tony Hawk, and they just destroyed this series.
Oh,
Pro Skater 5 is the biggest disappointment of the year for me.
Wow.
I mean, when they announced it, I thought, okay, maybe they're putting a 5 at the end. Maybe they're actually going to do something other than like Shred and Ride, where those games were appealing to the Guitar Hero format of buy something super expensive while they try something really gimmicky.
They're like $80, weren't they?
Yeah, they were a lot of money. But I was praying that they would go back to the formula, and they kind of did. But there was a lot of concern leading up to the launch when Activision was giving it no marketing push, and
yeah, it went silent for about, I would say, like after E3 up until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and they didn't say anything, and just like I forgot this game was coming out.
Yeah, and we had the 180, right, where they switched from I think it was in the Unreal Engine or whatever to cell shaded.
Oh yeah, it was supposed to be like a little more realistic, but now you have this cartoony look, which I'm not really a big fan of, but it's not terrible. But
so some people say that they threw that in the last second because they focus test the game and they realized that it didn't look good or it wasn't up to snuff, and they thought that might cut. Do you think that's yeah?
Well, I can see them just adding a shader that outlines all the characters, because that's basically what it does. Just adding a special pastel effect and.
The game wasn't re-rendered, was it? It's just like they just added an effect because it doesn't look very crisp as if it was like rendered.
It doesn't look like it was designed specifically for a cell shading. It has a kind of like 3D-esque modeling and just this, like I said, this overlay of some cell shading.
I don't know why I played the game at E3 when I believe that was the first time it was ever playable. In fact, it was the very first meeting of the very first day, so I was probably the first person outside of Activision to actually to play it. And it, not trying to brag,
of course not.
And I got to play with Tony Hawk. No, but it looked fine. It didn't look incredible, but it this is before the cell shading, and it looked like I think you would expect it to look. I don't really get why they. I mean, it didn't look like Killzone or Forza, but it looked fine. And I don't get. To me, it just kind of. I remember when I first realized it looked like garbage was when we did a preview on it a few months ago, and I was trying to find a featured image that would look good, and I was just like, wow, this game just does not look good. There's no image that makes this game look good. It just looks sloppy.
Yeah, and I mean, even now, the game doesn't look all that great. Like, there's a certain crispness, vibrancy to the art style where there's a lot of color to, I want to say about 6 of the 8 levels actually have like a decent amount of coloring, but all the levels are super empty for like a Tony Hawk game, and that's each stage is really small too, which is weird because you could stuff so much into this, but it just feels so empty, even with all the players riding around, because this is an online centric game that has like level lobbies where you see everyone running around, and which is, by the way, underdeveloped all to hell. I mean, just a massive, massive disappointment.
So aren't there only like 8 tracks or 8 courses in the entire game?
Yeah, there are only 8. And
I don't know why I call them tracks. It's not a racing game.
I mean, it's a sports game,
Yeah.
kind of racing in some sense. But yeah, there are 8 levels, 8 stages that you go through, and a bunch of them are like taken from past games, but just slightly redesigned, like the school level or the warehouse. And they're not particularly great because, like I said, they are empty, they are unoriginal, uninspired is what I used in my review. And it's a real letdown because the way they structured everything is mission centric, where you have to go into a menu, you got to select a different mission or ride up to some markers on the map. And you got the way you do it is you start the mission and it brings you to a segmented reality where that's the only part of the game. And once you're done with it, you got to go back to the free skate mode where it's the online level lobby or whatever, and you got to go through that process all over again. And it just clutters everything up. It feels like Robomoto or who's the other one?
Disruptive games.
Disruptive. That's right.
What have they done? Do you know what they've done even? I don't
know.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
No, honestly.
But like the way the menu system works is just archaic. None of this is streamlined. Like, you should be able to add your attributes while in the levels instead of going all the way back out to the main menu. You should be able to select levels from the end of or finishing a level or mission, because there's just so many load times you have to watch, and so many times you watch what I always think is like the game freezing up because it stalls for like a couple seconds and then it goes to the load screen and then it brings everything up. It is just poorly designed in that sense, and the missions are not particularly great. There are some unique ones. Each level has their own unique flavor, but most of them use just a template for each one, like a high score or a big head mode and whatnot. Some have like kick the football, baseball, and soccer ball and come back, which is not particularly a great mission to begin with, but at least it's different, I guess. But yeah, there's not a lot great about this. I mean, the soundtrack is pretty good. I'm not a huge like music guy. You contested that it is pretty solid in terms of punk rock.
Yeah, I like that they went more aggressive with it. Of course, I trend towards more, just more calmer indie rock and deep house and whatnot. But it fits this kind of game. When you had the original game had Goldfinger and all that. You want the game to be a little more aggressive, and you have some great artists, right? Like Rat-a-Tat, Orwell's, Cold Cave, and so it's not like they just went and chose and signed some noise pop to the game. They actually did their homework and tried to get a nice variety of a little more edgy, aggressive rock songs.
Yeah, for sure.
And you mentioned it's funny you mentioned the stages earlier and how they were uninspired. If we look back, right, like the original 2 Tony Hawk's, there were a lot of warehouse levels and just kind of like let's look at the school level, right? This school's kind of generic, but that was boy, for my money, one of the most classic levels in the series. Yeah. I think is that the difference, right? That they just you can't, of course it's a skate game, there's only so much you can do, but it's just it's a matter of how well I feel like, right, in the original 2 games everything was perfectly placed, right? You had the exact they placed so many, you could kind of create your own game, trying to do this long grind or this long jump, but it feels like they just kind of like slap some half pipes, doesn't it, kind of?
That it's entirely that. Like, I think they just put like parks together, which is the games before, like what you said, one of your favorites is a school, and one of mine is the airport, which is a setting you normally don't see you in skate games. Like, whereas this is just these generic half pipes and like poorly set up scenarios where it feels like it's just a square they stuck all these pieces in, and it's nothing original.
That's sad.
Yeah, this could have been so good. It could have been finally the comeback Tony Hawk Pro Skater is needed, but it just falls on its face.
I mean, do you think it's just not possible after they disbanded Neversoft? Is that what it is? Is that you just can't recapture that spark
Quite
they had?
possibly. I mean, what was the last one? American Wasteland?
Yeah.
And that wasn't too bad. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but
Was it Proving Ground, was it?
Was it Proving Ground?
The last three blend together. Yeah, you got Project or Session 8 or Project 8. And,
I actually like Project 8. That gets a bad rap for some reason.
I mean, I liked it better than the Underground games. Yeah. That was kind of a low. I hated the whole Attitude Era. Do you remember that, like in the mid aughts, where like Jackass ruled supreme and CKY?
You didn't like Bam Margera?
I honestly I have a guilty pleasure for Viva La Bam and older CKY antics. But I just didn't really like that kind of like it felt like this like 3-year era of like everyone like was a total a-hole. And I don't know what it was weird. It was weird to me. Like like Jackass was the top show. Viva La Bam was getting huge ratings. It was just like everything was just kind of like let's dirty things up. The original Tony Hawk games, they were straightforward and classy, but it was but they were still about a very rebellious thing, and they were still rebellious. You know what I mean? Like it's like you don't need like a bunch of random crap going on in the background. Skateboarding is rebellious enough, I think, just on its own.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest problem with this game is how unpolished it is entirely. Like, people have run into like crashes at the start of the game, and like the world completely breaking. I never ran into any game breaking bugs, but it's just like the number of times I've fallen through the world or clipped through environments is just too much. Like, I don't know what happened with their QA department, but they either failed horribly or they made an unplayable game slightly more playable. Because if they actually did something, I'm really curious what this game looked like a couple months ago.
I mean, how long do you think it's even been in development? Because it was just announced. Or it wasn't announced that long ago, right? I feel like less than 6 months ago, maybe. It was
probably about
was it spring
ago?
It leaked out, right, with that caterer.
Yeah, it was with that caterer.
Oh God,
that's a weird way to leak out, but okay.
That was weird.
But yeah, it wasn't too long ago. It was definitely one of those quicker releases.
Like I feel like we didn't see any gameplay from it until this year. I know that for sure, and maybe within the last 6 months.
Well,
and I wonder if it was rushed.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, it does feel like they've been trying to hold back as much as possible.
Yeah.
Which for good reason, like you said. Boy, though, it's sad. I think though, because I feel like you talked about before that they use the 5 moniker as the subtitle again, and I think when you do that, I mean that's a bold move, because if the game isn't up to snuff, then it's kind of just a big middle finger to the fans.
Exactly, and I mean this has to be it now. You've tried your spin-offs, and most of those didn't work, and if you go back to the main series and you screw up right there, that's it.
What else can you do? I mean, like you said, there's Go Mobile, and they've tried that, and that didn't work out very well. This game doesn't seem like it's a $60 retail game. I keep forgetting. No. I keep thinking like, well, it's only a $20. And wait, no, it's not though. Yeah.
I felt that the HD remake, the $15 digital game, had more content than this. It was more enjoyable. This game does add a new feature in the slam, which I hate. I hate it so much because I'm so used to. I guess it's something we got to adjust to, but it's that. When you're up in the air and you're aiming for like a grind, you're usually just hitting on triangle to make sure you actually hit the grind. But now you'll automatically slam down into the ground, and that causes a lot of like combos to be broken, and it is. I don't like it. It's like they're shaving off a couple seconds, or not a couple milliseconds, off your air time just to get to the ground, but it's unnecessary, and it's.
Yeah, it seems kind of pointless, and I mean, if you're gonna have it in the game, at least map it to another button to have the Y button or the triangle. Ooh.
Like hold it down or something. Like if I'm tapping on triangle, I'm trying to grind. I'm not trying to get back down.
So I think the biggest question that everyone wants to know is, do the Tony Hawk shred and grind skateboard accessories work in the game? Is it backwards compatible?
I'm pretty sure it's not.
Oh.
I don't have one to test out, so
That's twice now. Activision Guitar Hero Live. Now you can't use your old skateboard controller. That I'm sure everyone has been saving in anticipation. So I mean, what's your final thoughts on? I think I know, but
yeah, it is not good. It is. I mean, mechanically, it is unpolished. Although I do have a little bit of fun with the core gameplay mechanics, because it is still Tony Hawk, other than the slam. Although I still enjoy HD over this, so
that's not a good sign.
No, it's not. When you get Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 is just a unpolished wreck.
Oof.
And I don't think anyone should rush out and buy this unless they're a glutton for punishment.
But if they're not, it sounds like the series might be dead.
I really hope not, but
they're killing our nostalgia.
I mean, Sonic's not dead, so I mean, maybe Tony Hawk Pro Skater won't die as well.
I mean, Sonic's not. I guess Sonic is more alive than Sega, which is says a lot. But yeah, it can be. So Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, you can pick it up for $59.99 today on Xbox One or PS4, but you probably shouldn't. And to find out why that is, just rewind to any interval of this show or go check out our review, which is live right now.